What is up? We are Wrestling Maniacs out there worldwide. I'm the host with the most, Mr. We Are Wrestling himself, the best one, Donnie here, back with my AEW World's End predictions. If you're not a We Are Wrestling Maniac yet already and you're listening to this, give us a 5-star review, not just any review, a best one review, and download the episode. But if you're watching this over on the We Are Wrestling YouTube channel and you're not a part of the thousands of subscribers, we recommend you to hit that subscribe button now, turn on the post notifications. Videos be coming out of nowhere like an RKO, and of course you already know, the grind is real. And before I give you guys my predictions for World's End, normally here on, We Are Wrestling, we love to do live watch-alongs for all the premier live events and pay-per-views for AEW and WWE, and in 2024 we will be doing TNA ones as well. There will be no live watch-along for AEW World's End because myself and my co-host, the Load Rager Ben, we're going to be at Long Island, New York for AEW World's End. So there will be a vlog over on the We Are Wrestling YouTube in the future, probably next year. But now, guys, let's get into the predictions for AEW World's End. And I gotta say, the build-up for, this pay-per-view hasn't really been too exciting, but I feel like the show, like always with AEW, it's going to over-deliver, and I think that this card definitely has the potential of being, the pay-per-view of the year, and AEW has had some really good pay-per-views all year long, and honestly, I'm very excited for this card, and I think that, AEW, they have the talent, they have the stars, but right now, momentum is a big thing when it comes to professional wrestling, and WWE has more of that right now than AEW, which I really do hope AEW does turn it around, because I always say it, I want, all of these professional wrestling, companies to strive and succeed, because at the end of the day, the more wrestling there is, the better, the better it is for my job, and the more entertainment we get as, maniacs. But now, that being said, let's dive into the matches. So, starting things off, we have an 8-man all-star tag team match. We have Claudio Castagnoli, Bryan Danielson, Mark Briscoe, and Daniel Garcia versus Brody King, Jay White, Jay Lethal, and Roosh. And it looks like we're getting, the other, guys that were competing in the Continental Classic who didn't make it to the finals. They're putting them in a fun little tag match. And honestly, there's no build to it, but I do think that this is a pretty good idea because, for the past couple months, all 8 men have been competing, against each other in the Continental Classic. So I think that this is a great way to just have a nice, fun match. They all get to, get rewarded by being on, a pay-per-view for all their hard work. And I think that, this definitely has the potential to create some new storylines going into 2024 as well. And sometimes I don't mind, when you do get some fun matches on the card. And honestly, I'm looking forward to this one. And who I have winning, I'm going to have to go with Mark Briscoe, Bryan Danielson, Claudio, and Daniel Garcia. I think the babyfaces are going to beat the heels in this fun tag match. Moving on now to the next match we have here on the card, we have a 20-man Battle Royal. The winner will be getting a future shot at the AEW TNT Championship, and nobody has been announced as I'm, recording these predictions. And I'm just gonna, throw a wild card out there. I think that Roderick Strong is going to win the Battle Royal and become the #1 contender for the TNT Championship. Moving on now to the next match we have here. We have an FTW rules match for the FTW Championship. Hook will be defending his championship against Wheeler Yuta. And I think that this is a great match on the card. I think that, these two are going to put on a great match. They're both, homegrown AEW stars. And I love that Wheeler Yuta is getting, another opportunity on, a bigger stage to show what he can do. Same goes to Hook, because I feel like, Hook, he gets this momentum and then he loses it. And honestly, I would have rather had, Hook in that Battle Royal and won it, because I want to see him hold a different championship that's not the FTW title and see what he can really do. But I think that this has been a solid storyline, leading to the show. And I do think that Hook will retain his championship, but it's going to be a fun match. Moving on now to the next match we have here. We have the championship final of the AEW Continental Classic for the inaugural Triple Crown Championship. Eddie Kingston versus Jon Moxley. And I'm not going to lie, I wish Swerve, did win this tournament. I feel like, he deserves to go on that winning streak after, the match that he had with Hangman. And I would love to see, Swerve be the next guy to win the AEW World Championship. I feel like, now is the time to pull the trigger on that. But I feel like we're going to get that, in 2024. But honestly, Jon Moxley versus Eddie Kingston is an exciting match. They both have, a lot of history. And I think that this is going to be a great, brutal match between both guys. I know Eddie Kingston, he needs to go out and prove himself because Jon Moxley has always ended up on top. And honestly, I think that Eddie Kingston is going to win versus Jon Moxley. I think he's going to pull the upset and finally beat him. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens after that. So I do have Eddie Kingston winning, the very first AEW Continental Classic. But honestly, this was a great tournament in my opinion. But now we need to get back into more, storylines. Moving on now to the next match here on the card. We have a singles match for the AEW TBS Championship. Julia Hart versus Abaddon. And I gotta say this, the storyline has been pretty solid. I wish that the women wrestlers got more, TV time on AEW. I don't see why they don't. There's 2 hours of Dynamite, there's, 2 hours of Collision, and there's 1 hour of Rampage. So I feel like, we need to give the women more TV time. Because like I said, in AEW, they have the stars. It's just the lack of booking and momentum. Like, for example, Takeshita, he beat Kenny Omega twice, and then what has he done since then? Absolutely nothing. But now getting back into this match, I love that Julia Hart, won the TBS Championship at, Full Gear. I was very happy about that, even though I do love me some Chris Statlander. But I love that Abaddon is getting this opportunity to perform, on pay-per-view. I feel like, we haven't really got to see what she can do, what she can bring to the table, and this is what I want in, the women's mid-card division. 2 homegrown AEW stars getting an opportunity, but I do think that Julia Hart's reign is not over yet, so I do have her retaining the TBS Championship. Moving on now to the next match we have here. We have a singles match for the AEW Women's World Championship. Timeless Toni Storm will be defending her title against Rio. And I do think that, Timeless Toni Storm, she is going to retain her championship. But I'm not mad that Rio is getting this opportunity. I know there's a lot of people that are not fans, of her work. But honestly, I think that, for Toni Storm, we need to, build up her title reign, and I feel like having her go against the very first AEW Women's World Championship, this is, a great way to get Rio back on TV. It's, a legitimate #1 contender, so we're not throwing somebody random in there. It has meaning, and honestly, I have enjoyed, the interactions that they've had, and it's been very interesting. I'm very curious to see what they're going to do with Mariah May. In 2024, I feel like at some point she's going to turn on Toni Storm and then we're going to get that feud. But right now, I do have Toni Storm retaining the championship, but I think Rio is really going to impress a lot of people, including my co-host, the Load Rager Ben, who doesn't really watch AEW consistently like myself. Moving on now to the next match we have here. We have an 8-man tag team match. Ricky Starks, Big Bill, and the Don Callis family, Takeshita and Powerhouse Hobbs with Don Callis versus the Los Sex Gods, Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara, Sting and Darby Allin. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, I thought that, it was so random just having Sammy Guevara, join the Callis family for a little bit and then, have them, turn on him and then him and Jericho, make up like nothing ever happened. I wish that, we gave it more time. It felt very rushed in my opinion. But I will say, Sammy Guevara did have legitimate reasons why he wanted to leave the Callis family. I liked how, he brought up, the lack of momentum with, Takeshita, because that's something that I've been asking, myself watching AEW as, a casual viewer. And, Powerhouse Hobbs, has been very over with the group, but, like, they're both, losing the momentum, and then Guevara, is making it about Callis, which I really like that a lot. But I just don't understand, the Jericho and Guevara thing. They pretty much made up like nothing ever happened. I wish that we had more time to build that. And I kind of wish that we actually got a solid feud with them that didn't involve the Callis family. But it is what it is now. Can't really change what happened. But honestly, I'm alright with this match. It's unfortunate that, Ricky Starks and Big Bill are not defending the championships because I am really not a fan of their tag team title run. I feel like FTR should still be holding these titles, but what can I do? But with this match, I do think that the Sex God, Sting, and Darby Allin will win. Moving on now to the next match we have here on the card, the one that I'm probably the most excited about. We have a no disqualification match for the AEW TNT Championship. Christian Cage will be defending the title against Adam Copeland. This is going to be probably the match of the night, in my opinion. And honestly, I can't wait to see these two go all over the arena, beating the shit out of each other. I do have a couple predictions that I do think will happen in this match. I think that Adam Copeland will win the TNT Championship against Christian Cage because Killswitch, Luchasaurus, will return and he will, turn on Christian Cage finally. And I have a feeling that Jungle Boy will be coming back to help Luchasaurus and Adam Copeland, against Christian Cage because of the history there. And I don't know, I feel like, Jungle Bitch, he's gonna, team up with Luchasaurus so that, there's less heat on him for the whole CM Punk incident. Plus, he filed a trademark, earlier, in the year, after, during the suspension for, Jurassic Express. So I do have a feeling that we're gonna be getting, the tag team back, and they're gonna help Adam Copeland win, and Christian is gonna be written off of TV for a little bit. Moving on now to the next match we have here. We have a singles match. Swerve Strickland with Prince Nani versus Keith Lee. And something I do have to say about Prince Nani, and I haven't had the chance to, talk about it because we don't really cover that much AEW on the We Are Wrestling podcast, which you can check out every Saturday. I am really starting to, become a fan of Nani and his work. Honestly, the whole, dancing thing with Swerve is just getting over, and I am on that, bandwagon train right now, and I'm honestly behind Prince Nani, but I'm still not behind the whole mobile embassy thing. I feel like Swerve, is just better off on his own with Nani, but we're finally getting the match that we should have gotten about a year ago when, Swerve, turned heel and attacked Keith Lee. This we should have gotten a long time ago. I wish that we had more time to build this. They waited last minute, and it feels like they just, needed Swerve on the card. They needed Keith Lee on the card, so they just threw the two together. And Swerve has been doing stuff on Dynamite. Keith Lee has been doing stuff on Collision. So, like, this match should have been done a year ago. But I am very excited for this match, and I think that it's going to be a great one. I do have Swerve beating Keith Lee. But if they do want to get Keith Lee over, I feel like they should have him beat Swerve so that they can, pick up some momentum with him. Moving on now to the next match we have on the card, another singles match, Miro versus Andrade. And I think that this is going to be a great match. I know a lot of people don't really tune into AEW Collision. I'm not watching it, regularly either. I wish that, it wasn't on a Saturday. I feel like it would be a lot, better for all of us. Because some of us, want to enjoy our weekend and, not watch wrestling. It's one thing, watching a pay-per-view, fight, like, World's End on Saturday. But, like, you know, watching a show every Saturday from, like, 8 to 10 o'clock consistently, like, I have a life. I can't just sit here and watch, wrestling, 24/7. But they've been feuding over on Collision, and I have been paying attention to the highlights and stuff. And honestly, I really do like this feud going on. And I do have Miro beating Andrade because CJ will turn her back on Andrade and help Miro, but I don't think that this will be the end of their feud. And I'm very excited to see what goes on in 2024 with both of these guys, because I do have a feeling that, there's going to be some, changes happening next year with these guys in their, direction. But moving on now to the main event match for AEW World's End, MJF versus Samoa Joe for the AEW World Championship. And this one, like all the other, main event matches in AEW, is very, very unpredictable, because I could see it going two ways. The first way I could see it going is that MJF, retains the championship, and, the reign is not over yet, and he can hold on to the title until AEW Revolution, and, lose it to Swerve, because we did get, that tease there. Or they could wait for, Adam Cole to come back, and then eventually have Adam Cole, beat MJF like the plans were supposed to happen. They could do that. Or I could see, Samoa Joe winning because MJF is injured. They're going to, write MJF off of AEW TV for, a couple months. Do the whole, free agency thing because, of course, MJF has been teasing, the biggest bidding war. The bidding war of 2024. So this could be like a way to write MJF off, and then when he's, healed up a little bit, he comes back, gets that massive pop, and, announces that he signed the extension, which I do think that he already did, but, he's not going to break kayfabe, of course, because it's Maxwell Jacob Friedman, the greatest wrestler right now, in my opinion. And I think that, there's really a lot of ways that this could go, but I do have MJF retaining the AEW World Championship against Samoa Joe. And I think that Adam Cole is going to be revealed as the devil. And I think that some of, those random devils that have been coming around with the mask, I think that Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, Matt Taven, Mike Bennett, Roderick Strong, and Wardlow, I think that they're all together on this. And I definitely see, the Kingdom, being just this big faction in 2024 for AEW. And I think that, they definitely have some really big plans for this. But we need the devil to get revealed at World's End, because a lot of fans are getting very repetitive of this whole storyline. And if the reveal is Jungle Bitch, I'm going to be so pissed off. And I think that, it's got to be a big name. It's got to be Adam Cole. I feel like that makes the most sense. Britt Baker, I feel like, they can throw her involved in this faction somehow. We haven't got to see her on TV really recently. I have a really, strange feeling about this whole, devil thing. And I'm very excited to see the reveal. And I think everybody is just waiting on it, which is why, it is becoming very repetitive through time. We need to get the reveal at World's End, and it needs to be a big star. And I'm hoping it's Adam Cole. I would love to see that happen, which honestly, here's how I would book it. I would have MJF, retain the championship against Samoa Joe, have Adam Cole and this entire, the whole group attack MJF, write him off of TV where he has to vacate the AEW World Championship. Then, we can really crown a new champion, and I feel like that would be a great way to do things. But I wouldn't mind Samoa Joe also winning it either. But guys, that was all my predictions for AEW World's End. Let me know in the comment section below your predictions for, the pay-per-view. There will be no live watch-along over on the We Are Wrestling YouTube channel for this pay-per-view, because Ben and I, we are going to be out in Long Island, New York, watching it live. So we might have some live reactions, during it, coming out. So stay tuned for that. But if you guys enjoyed, the predictions for AEW World's End 2023, make sure to smash that like button now. If you're not, we are Wrestling Maniac. You already subscribed, turn on the post notifications. If you're listening to this, give us a 5-star review. Not just any review, a best one review, and download the episodes. Really helps, this podcast grow. The link's down in the description below. You can go follow me over on my social medias and other YouTube pages. All that down below. And, of course, to all that we are Wrestling Maniacs out there worldwide, we are taking over. Peace.